Welcome, welcome, welcome. Remember, Christ is King, and welcome to Walk It Off. I'm your host, Paul Jarrett. We have a very, very special guest this evening. You know him. It's John Tweet Sports on X. My good friend. Well, I'm going to say my good friend. I did a little research on you today. I had a little background information on you today.
Uh-oh.
A whole lot. All good things. Welcome. Mr. John, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, man. I am thrilled to be here. Thank you for having me. Anybody who starts a show, welcome my good friend, and talking about me, I have to kind of look and be, well, what? Like, same person? But no, I'm excited to be here. Love your stuff. Love your show. Excited to jump into, I won't call it enemy territory around LSU.
You can call it enemy territory.
I have another rooting interest in college football, but I always love coming on and talking about what's going on with college football and hearing other perspectives. And so thank you for having me.
Well, I'm going to preface this real quick. I wanted to have you on. I was going to invite you anyway. It just so happened to be around this time of just insanity around college football because I wanted to get your opinion on the upcoming season. Yeah. And it's funny. So our mutual friend, Miss Daily Joy, Miss SEC Pretty herself.
Shout out Daily Joy.
Or SEC Petty at times. Depends on if she's drinking tequila.
I got the hat. We can just put the hat on. We got it right here.
Like, see, I left. Pretty. I think the hat's in my truck. I usually have it with me. She gave me the petty hat. I let my wife have the pretty hat.
Perfect.
But I saw your account through her, and I'm sorry seeing what you post and kind of watching what you do. I'm like, this is a fan of I wouldn't say rival, but an opposing team that has his head on straight. He's not everything is, the world's falling apart.
No.
And so I was like, that's why I kept interacting with you and kind of getting to know how you post. So I was like, he would be a good person to have on here to kind of discuss what this upcoming season is going to be with all the changes in college football.
Yeah.
But over the past 2 weeks, I feel like college football, pretty sure you and I are around the same age.
Mm-hmm.
College football we know and love is dying. If not dead.
Yeah. It's been college football has been changing for decades, right? So I remember Kirby Smart, actually head coach of Georgia, he was talking about this in his press conference today, where he was talking about when he coached at LSU, there was a kid who I wish I knew the player, but he played one play in the SEC championship game for LSU when Kirby was there, which would have been maybe 2007. But he played one play and lost his eligibility for the entire next season, right? So it's been changing in terms of you move from there to now you have 4-game red shirts, and then you have all these things. But what's happening now is it's kind of I like to think about it as for the kids listening as pre-iPhone and post-iPhone, right? So it was okay, there was a world that was Nokia cell phones and texting and no video on your phone and the flip phone cameras.
Always had service.
Correct. And then the iPhone came out, and then all of a sudden it was just
there's an app for that.
All of this technology, all these smartphones, all these tablets, all this stuff, and it's coming at you so fast. And a lot of it is good. And then a lot of it, you wake up and you're like, wait, this is not I didn't ask to be able to be, reachable 24/7, 365 by my job with email and Slack and all. It's this is great. The convenience is awesome, but there's all this other stuff that we don't like about it, and that you're not going back to that world. And so it's kind of like that with college football to a certain extent, where all these things are happening. Not all of them are bad. But there's a lot of them that's okay, man, there was a time before this and now a time after this. And I think the challenge is, we don't know where this is going. And so again, it's I love social media. I love, X. It's a fun place to be. But it's also one of those things where it's okay, well, if you could rewind the tape and be this internet thing, do you want it to be like this? It's well, there's a lot of it that I don't want, and I think that's college football. We won't know a lot of the ramifications of what's happening for a long time, but we know there's a sense and a feeling. It's hey, not all this is good. and the consequences, we don't even know what the consequences are going to be, 3, 4, 5, 10 years from now. But we know that it's not good. And we know some of it is like, yeah, players getting paid is a pretty good thing, right? Like if you're making, if you're making, if an athletic department is bringing in $200 million in revenue a year, it's like, okay, well, the players probably should get some of that.
Something.
Right. But then you go as far as what's been happening with you just add it all together and it just becomes a real I don't know, just a challenge. And so I'm excited to talk about all that stuff today. And to your point, I think it's just there's so much that's changing. And I think I pride myself, and I appreciate the intro, in being objective, because like not all of it is bad. And if you look at it and you say, well, this is not a college football that I grew up with. Okay, that's fine. But also the college football I grew up with, there was a lot of college football. I was a defensive player. I was outside linebacker. I love defense. I love, 9-6 Bama game, LSU game of the century. Like that's right up my alley. But you turn around and there's a lot of those 9-6 games that were just garbage, right? And it's like, okay, so there has been some really good evolution in the game. So I don't want to be like, well, that's not the college football I grew up with, because I watched a lot of bad college football when I was growing up. But at the same time, there's a lot of stuff I think the average fan, we don't want to be talking about NIL. We don't want to be talking about pro players come back to college, or should they be able to come back or not. We don't want to be talking about coaches, leaving their team before a playoff. Like we just don't. That's not what made us fall in love with the sport. And I think that's the challenge that a lot of fans have. So I'm excited to dig into that with you.
I'm happy you brought that up. I'm going to address one thing real quick, because you said this the pre-iPhone and post-iPhone era. I've been kind of claiming this as the pre-Johnny Football, Johnny Manziel era, post-Johnny Manziel era.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, kids getting paid. Starting off just ground facts. I want the kids to get paid.
Yeah.
Look at Manziel. He said himself, he may not be the sharpest tool in the shed, but he's right. He helped build that stadium. He helped build A&M to what it is today.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't get a dime of it. Now, I think it's getting out of hand, because now you have private equity coming into play, but that's a whole nother situation.
Yeah. So
I'm just going to kind of state my facts real quick, and I'm going to pull up a chat real quick, because something else I got told today too. I don't want professional athletes in any sport. But what has happened today, what's been happening for the past, well, we can go ahead and say a month and a half, you're playing with a double-edged sword, because on one end you can argue for what they're doing, and on the other side, I'm vehemently against it. But like our good friend Miss Dilly Joy says, she's called us her friends. Hey, sweetheart, how you doing? She also let me know today you love Lane Kiffin. And
no, that's not what she said. She said, I love to talk about Lane. Let's be clear.
No, that's what she texted me earlier. I have it in my phone right here. She said, John loves Lane Kiffin. But let me get a little more background on you real quick. So the people who don't know you, they should know you. If they're here, they're probably here for you, not for me. But for those who don't know, like Daly told me, you started the Bulldog Bourbon Social Club.
Yeah.
Correct?
So we have there's a couple things. So
and Speakeasy Sports.
Yep, Speakeasy Sports, and the Bulldog Bourbon Social Club. The Bulldog Bourbon Social Club, at Dog Social Club on Instagram, on Twitter, all those things. It's really a community of people that really want to talk about the things that make us love college sports and college football specifically. So it's people that we love talking about tailgating. We love talking about tailgate recipes. We love talking about the actual game. We love, it's really I call it a social club, because it's really just a community of people that it's like, okay, we don't care so much about all the other stuff. We want to be, with like-minded people who care about the things that made us fall in love with us, because a lot of that still absolutely exists in college sports. So I'm the founder of the Bulldog Bourbon Social Club, Speakeasy Sports, and we are working on other social clubs at other schools. And just really, at the end of the day, I refer to, kind of my view is there are things that made people fall in love with college sports. So it could be, you went to the game with a parent or with a friend, or you grew up in a state where that was the team, or you went to the school, or there's a number of reasons that you could have fallen in love with college football, fallen in love with your team. None of them that I've found yet. I haven't heard anybody that fell in love with college football because of salary cap or revenue share or like NIL
the
or like,
lack of that, actually.
like that's not what people. And so for me, it's just really, I just think like I love connecting people around the things that bring you joy, no pun intended, to our friend Daily Joy, but the things that bring you joy, right? Like, and I think there's so much of that that's needed in college sports, because this is what we do, right? We get media days, you go to media days and you talk about all the stuff that no one like. It's interesting for sure. It gets clicks for sure. It gets sound bites for sure.
But you learn nothing.
And no one's showing up on a Saturday in the fall and showing up at a tailgate and drinking some good bourbon and eating some good,
Do you
food off
remember
a grill.
Kirby said this?
Yeah, and walking into a stadium and being like, "Oh, do you know that guy transferred here from this team and we paid him all this money to come here?" Like, that's not what people are talking about when they're at the game.
Well,
you know what I mean? So,
unless I'll give. So I say this all the time. LSU fans, football fans more than ever, because really there's LSU baseball fans and there's LSU football fans who watch baseball. They can be the best and the worst at the same time, because you could have walked into a tailgate last year and said, how much money did we pay Garrett Nussmeier? That was going to be a legitimate conversation.
Yeah.
And it's sad that that's come to this in this day and age.
Yeah.
But
and what I mean by that is like, yeah, you might talk about like, oh, how much money, how much money did we pay this guy? But I'm saying that's not why you showed up to the stadium. Like, you didn't show up there to talk about those things. That's not why you woke up and said, I want to go to the game because I want to see this guy that we paid $5 million. It's like, no, you go to the game to watch your team. You go to the game to do your cheers. You go to the game to, hear the band play neck. Like, that's why you go to these games. And so it's not, you don't go to the game. You don't wake up on a Saturday and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to go and see this $40 million roster that we put together. It's just not how college sports work.
The fact like, that thought
go, yeah, I
want to
hear Boozy Badass, and I want to hear him play neck, and I want to, do my chants, and I want to see the light show, and that's why I want to go to the game.
You saying that made me think, what made me fall in love with LSU football? And it was my first game I ever went to was playing Notre Dame in '97 in the Independence Bowl, and it snowed. First time I ever saw snow, and we beat Notre Dame in Shreveport. But I didn't fall in love with it then. I fell in love with it the next year. They're playing Houston in Tiger Stadium. They're losing. And my dad, I was 8, 9 years old. My dad tells me, hey, you can go ahead and join in. And we were yelling, fire DiNardo, suck, fire DiNardo. And then he got fired the next day. And my dad said, look, you were a part of that. Good job. That's what made me fall in love. That's the most LSU answer I could possibly think of.
Yeah.
It's sad.
I know. I love it. I love it. Yeah. Trust me, man. Like the first game that I went to when I was a kid, the first Georgia game was a loss to Georgia Tech in Atlanta. Like, clean old fashioned hate, the biggest rivalry game, watching Georgia lose to Georgia Tech. But what I remember about that for me was it was, you just felt like part of something bigger than yourself. You felt like part of a community. You felt like part of a group, part of a tribe. And that's what people like. That's what people want to be a part of. And so, yes, maybe you are talking about rev share or all these things, but at the end of the day, you're talking about them with people who arrived here because of other things somewhere along the way. And I think that's what we're at jeopardy of losing with college football in particular and college sports in general, because like, the reason that all of us are here are because of all of those things that were before this world that we live in now. You have a generation of people that are, a fan base that are kids, that are teenagers, that are college students that you need them to fall in love with the sport, with your school, with your university, with your team. And if this is all we're talking about and these are all the things we're doing, then you're going to push them away, and it's going to take a long time, right? You can't, like, it takes a long time to bring people back around or to change their mind about something. And so that's just, at the end of the day, but again, like, what I love is, like, we're sitting here 60 minutes in and we're talking about all this stuff because that's what's interesting, right?
Talking
Like,
about the things we love.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
We're going to get into some other things, some things you may not love, but I got to give Georgia a pat on the back for this. Georgia, so growing up, I love Georgia was possibly my second or third favorite SEC team because I love the colors and I liked Mark Richt. Y'all always have a great head coach at the helm. Kirby Smart, all the respect in the world for him. He's a product of LSU to a point. I got to say that. But amazing coach. Do you believe Lane Kiffin is getting the deserved hate? Because you brought up the moving schools.
Yeah,
you brought that up.
Yeah.
So give me your opinion on that real quick.
Yeah. So here, my take on Lane Kiffin, okay, is it really boils down to one thing for me. What people want to talk about is Lane Kiffin getting the deserved hate for recruiting NFL players. Is Lane Kiffin getting the deserved hate for leaving Ole Miss, and coming to LSU? Is he getting the deserved hate for whatever? Maybe he was distracted in 2024 and had a playoff caliber roster at Ole Miss and didn't miss the playoff. Right?
Lost to Kentucky.
It lost to Kentucky. Is he getting the deserved hate for all these individual things? That is not, for me. You can take any of those and you can pull them out and you can put them by themselves, and you can debate whether you should hate the guy or whether that decision was a good decision or whether, whatever. Like the NFL situation. I don't blame Lane Kiffin, right? Like, you're getting paid a lot of money to win football games. You just made a huge, huge bet to leave a school where you had built a playoff program to come to another, to a rival school, bring your coaches, bring a lot of your players with you. So what do? You're starting year one and you're trying to build the best roster you can. And here's another avenue where maybe I could get some talent. And so, for me, I don't, that's not my issue with Lane Kiffin. My issue with Lane Kiffin is everywhere Lane Kiffin has been, you talk very little about his actual football team. And you talk a whole lot about Lane Kiffin. And to me, that's a feature of Lane Kiffin and not a bug. I think Lane Kiffin, it goes all the way back. It goes all the way back to when he got hired by the Raiders, was the youngest head coach in NFL history, I believe, at the time.
Yes.
And it was, his thing has been, and he learned that, right? He learned this he grew up around a high profile defensive coordinator, coach of a dad, around all these guys who were in the media, who were on the cover of magazines, who were on ESPN, who were on TV. He learned the media game from day one.
From Pete Carroll.
Correct. Pete Carroll, who was great at it, right?
Who was a yin and yang to Monty Kiffin. Couldn't have been two different people.
Yeah. Go back and people forget, right? But go back and watch some of those press conferences with Pete Carroll when he was at USC.
Having Snoop Dogg on the practice field.
Yeah. When he was at Seattle, right? And it was and
the basketball goal.
Watch some of his press conferences, right? So I don't blame Lane Kiffin, he knows how to play the media game. My issue is Lane Kiffin has always been just a little bit too cute for what he's actually trying to accomplish, right? And what I mean by that is,
no, you're right.
He got hired at Tennessee. His opening press conference, he talks about, Tennessee. He talks about we're gonna beat Florida. He's just dogging Steve Spurrier, dogging Florida, or who I think it may have been Urban Meyer at the time, but he's he's dogging Florida, we're gonna beat Florida, we're gonna, whatever. And then he goes down and he gets his ass kicked by Florida. It's for me, it's that piece of it has been the issue. for a guy who has never played for a conference championship outside of like, I guess, FAU, he won maybe a couple. For a guy who he has won a lot. Ole Miss, the record speaks for itself. First coach to win back-to-back 10-win seasons, like took him to the playoff. Like, I'm not saying he's not a good coach. I'm just saying, like, there's a wave of distraction and a wave of, and even the way that he, used the portal at Ole Miss, which I think was really great. But the way that he talks about things, it always seems to gravitate toward him and not toward, like, last year is a good example. And again, I sound such like a Lane Kiffin hater. I probably am.
No, I mean, and you can be a Lane Kiffin hater. That's, I mean,
but
any LSU fan that gives you grief about that, go pull up their tweets.
Yeah,
from prior to December 1st.
Yes. So last year, a good example, Ole Miss, right? Ole Miss. You got Trinidad Chambliss, who Lane Kiffin didn't even start, by the way. He started Austin Simmons.
Yep.
Didn't start Trinidad. Austin Simmons gets hurt, has to put Trinidad in, and Trinidad all of a sudden becomes this guy. You got Kejuan Lacey. Neither those guys were playing like out of their mind. There wasn't. I didn't see Lane Kiffin talking about these guys as like, they're like, these guys should be in the conversation for these, like, I didn't see
Heisman races for Trinidad.
I don't think it's a school's job. Like, Georgia doesn't do that. Like, Georgia doesn't do that with any of their players. They don't go out and talk about this player should be up for this award. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, even in, he would go on Pat McAfee and he wouldn't talk about his players or his team, right? Like, he would talk about, like just their process or the way they're doing things. And I think that's fine. But for me, it's just like a little bit much for Lane Kiffin. And so I think this NFL thing, I think that's why people hate Lane Kiffin. I don't think it's because of necessarily some of the stuff he's done. I think probably, if you're an Ole Miss fan, it probably is because he left and because of the way he left and all those things. I think people outside of those bubbles, though, it's just like, what has this guy accomplished to be this much of a media magnet? Like, what has he actually done? And that's the question that I keep asking myself, is like, what has he accomplished that makes him the person to be like having all this gravitate around him?
How did he have such a pull for the coaching carousel? Like, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Like, prior to last season, getting Ole Miss or the University of Mississippi, I'm trying to break that stereotype they have. The University of Mississippi to the playoff. I would have said, why do you want Lane Kiffin? Yes, he's a great offensive mind, but is the juice worth the squeeze?
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to give him this credit. Since coming to LSU, he has been more behaved.
After he said Ole Miss was racist in a Vanity Fair magazine where he was in designer jeans and in the stands. He never
said they were racist.
I'm just saying that. I know he didn't say that. I'm saying that to push the envelopes. But he has been well behaved outside of, he had a Vanity Fair reporter and he was in the stands wearing a white no LSU logo, a white t-shirt and designer jeans and this photo shoot. And then after that all went down. Now he's been more well behaved.
Yeah, and look, I'm a behave with the racist stuff and all. Because I just made the joke.
No.
I'm trying to fix their
for LSU fans listening. He did not call Ole Miss racist. I know he didn't.
You could know. You ain't got to apologize to them. They're mouth breathers too. Half of them. But I made the joke. I call them University of Mississippi. Try to help break the stigma they have of being Ole Miss. I got make that joke all the time because their fan base. Look. I've met great people of every, this. Every fan base has great people, and then you have the lunatics. And get a bunch of drunk Cajuns together, lunatics, all day. Yeah. So we're not separate from that fact.
I mean, Georgia fans, we're barking at people. So
yeah, that needs to stop. That's a little too much. At least offer jambalaya after. Probably not jambalaya. Offer something. I don't know what Georgia's good at cooking. But
barbecue.
But see, everyone says barbecue. You can't be Missouri, Texas. What is it? The Carolinas call it now. They say they're the king of barbecue. No. Can y'all be like the Traeger masters? I love my drink. But so, in that regard, so like with the NFL stuff, and like since he's been behaved, I said earlier to somebody, it's never a war crime the first time, but he said to y'all McAfee, the first school that a student commits to from this avenue with the professionals is going to be labeled the villain. Well, it was LSU. And so it kind of fit. Now the SEC has came down and made a rule, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But the stuff with Lane leaving Ole Miss the way he did, how come John Summerall can coach but Lane can't?
Well, yeah, John Summerall was going from Tulane to Florida. Like if John Summerall was going from Florida to Georgia, he would not have been allowed.
John Summerall was going from Tulane to Ole Miss at one point.
Well, if that was the case, still, it's So again, this, right? Like, why was John Summerall? This.
I'm just poking.
Yeah, no, but but LSU fans know the answer. Why was he allowed to coach? Because going from Tulane to Florida, or even going from Tulane to Ole Miss, is not. If he was going from Tulane to Ole Miss and they were playing each other in a playoff game, I doubt John Summerall would have been allowed to coach Tulane. And I will also say this. I doubt John Summerall would have wanted to coach Tulane because, God forbid, you mess around and beat
Ole Miss
the
did
team.
play Tulane.
What's that?
Ole Miss did play Tulane.
No, and that's what I'm saying. I'm saying if that's where he was going, right? If he was going to leave Tulane and go to Ole Miss, I doubt that he would have made the decision to coach Tulane against the team that he was about to become the head coach of. Because like you mess around and win that game, you're starting off on a pretty wrong foot. But that being said, again, like it's a weird world that we live in, right? 12-team playoff, and like and when decisions have to be made and all this kind of stuff. So I don't blame Ole Miss for telling Lane Kiffin like you can't coach. I don't blame Lane Kiffin for like trying to coach when he knew for sure if he took the LSU job he was not going to be able to coach. I will say this. I don't know if Lane Kiffin, if he takes the Florida job, I'm not sure that he doesn't coach Ole Miss in the playoff. I think LSU and Ole Miss, I think it's a different, right? So it's like Georgia, if, like I said, like God forbid, like Kirby Smart would not do this, but like if Kirby Smart was going to go be the coach of Alabama, right?
Yeah.
I don't know that Georgia, like in that scenario, like I think it's like, okay, would Kirby Smart want to coach? Would Kirby Smart want to stay and coach Georgia in a playoff game if he was going, those things? And would Georgia like want him to? I don't know. If he was going to Florida, guaranteed there's no way he's coaching. Like it's a different, like Alabama and Georgia are not. They're recent rivals in SEC championship games and postseason, but they're not. They don't go back. They haven't been playing for 100 years and have like a donor base, like the donor base that they live with each other across the state line, and they it's just a different thing. So, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
I understand what you're saying, and I think Lane Kiffin was in an impossible situation if he was going to leave, which he was going to. He did. He was in a possible situation with when he had to make the decision of what he's going to do. But like, I just think it's different. I think John Summerall, like, if you're going from Tulane to Florida, you're taking staff with you, you're doing all this, you're doing all that. And if you're going from LSU to Ole Miss or Ole Miss to LSU, and you're all of a sudden doing all that and taking staff and players, like it's just a different. Yeah, it's just different.
So as a Georgia fan, though, I would argue this. I want your perspective because so many LSU podcasts and LSU fans have such an echo chamber they live in as far as perspectives. You brought up Georgia, Florida, Georgia, Alabama. Now, granted, Florida wouldn't happen. Big rivalry. Georgia, Alabama, I would argue, are too close to each other, where LSU and Ole Miss is more similar, honestly, to the Tulane Ole Miss level, right? So that's what I would say. Like,
I see what you're saying.
Ole Miss got relevant due to Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, and that's fair. That's a fair argument. at the same time, it is like you just have to put yourself. I would encourage LSU fans, and I know it's hard, right? Like, because the thing about college football and college football fandom is we can talk ourselves into anything that we think is going to give our team an advantage. It's going to make our team relevant. It's going to make our team win. It's going to make us, like be able to go on X and the Twitter machine and talk trash and like we can talk ourselves into anything that's going to give us those things. And I remember, like, I'm a Georgia fan. Georgia had not won a national championship in my lifetime. I was born in I won't tell you how old I am, but that hadn't won a national championship in my lifetime. And I watched 2012 when SEC championship, Alabama, Georgia. The winner was going to go play Notre Dame in a national championship and beat the brakes off of Notre Dame. And Georgia, Chris Conley catches the ball and falls down on the 5-yard line, and the clock runs out, and Georgia's on the 5-yard line. 5 yards to win, to beat Alabama, right? Hadn't won a national championship in 40 years at that point. Or at that point, I guess it was 32 years. But and then I watched like Kirby Smart come in and took Georgia to a national championship, and 2nd and 26 happened, right? Georgia was winning 20-7. Alabama comes back, puts in Tua in, and they come back and win, and sack Tua for a 16-yard loss, and then turn around the next play and give up a bomb for a touchdown in overtime and lose the game. And so I have sat in the seat around like, I just want my team to win. Like, I want my team to win, right? Yeah. Like, I want my team to beat Alabama, and I don't care if Kirby, like if it's Fast and Furious down in Athens and these kids, it's always the Athens PD, and it's always, like I've made all the excuses, like I've done it all, right? Like it's like, it's never the kids, it's always the police, it's always the, they're being targeted, and like, so I get where LSU fans are coming from. I would just say that if, let's just say, and it's hard because LSU fans will say, well, we're LSU, so that would never happen. But just humor me for a second. We'll use Lane Kiffin. Let's say like Lane Kiffin, was at LSU, and LSU, has LSU like they've gone through, a few down seasons, has LSU poised for a playoff run, whatever, and then gets a call and says, hey, Nick Saban is retiring. We want to hire you to be the next head coach at Alabama. And then he takes that job, and he's the LSU head coach. LSU is going to the college football playoff, but he has taken the Alabama head coach job. Does he stay? Does he get to stay and coach LSU in the college football playoff if he's going to be the head coach at Alabama?
So I'm probably the one LSU fan you'll meet that doesn't look at Bama as a rival. That's because we never really beat them. So it doesn't really can't count them as a rival.
I mean, but who has beaten Alabama until recently, right? So, but yes.
Thank you, DeBoer. We still haven't. Well, we did once. But so they're still a rival as far as not liking them, but I see what your point. This is the caveats I'll give there.
Okay.
If this is like we're looking into the future, Verge, Osbury, and them better let them coach because they were all up in arms saying they should. And we've kind of lived through that.
So this is 20. Let's say this is Ed Orgeron gets fired. Lane Kiffin gets hired. Like, let's go back. Ed Orgeron gets fired. Lane Kiffin gets hired. And then he's here. He's at LSU for a couple years. And then Nick Saban retires. Right? So he's going to leave LSU because you know why he's going to leave LSU? Because there's 18 national championships over here and all these Heisman trophies and all these. And he was the offensive coordinator who won a national championship with Alabama. And he's going to go over here and take this job. So
I'm torn on that because I think with the temperament of LSU fans, we would have told him to get out of Baton Rouge.
100% you would have. I would have told him if I was an LSU fan to get out of Baton Rouge.
We would have said, you want to go interview for that job right now? Get out of Baton Rouge.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That wasn't the Ole Miss slant, though. They were in the stadium yelling, "We want Kiffin."
Well, because he hadn't. He
hadn't made the decision yet. I get it. Yeah. But if it was the same limbo, if it came up and just said, "Go," like Jay Johnson, the best baseball coach in the country, in my opinion. Y'all remembered y'all had a baseball team this year. Daily paid me to say that. I'm joking. People found out Jay was going to possibly interview for the A&M job. They found out they were going to interview for the Braves job. Watch, I'm a Braves fan, so I wouldn't have lost him. People were wanting Jay to leave.
Yeah.
And it's
because it's the natural, like if you think about it, it's the natural inclination, right? You're either with us or you're not.
Yeah.
And so I don't blame Ole Miss. I don't blame Keith Carter. Ole Miss fans,
I blame
will say
Keith
this.
Carter.
Well, okay, that's fair. Maybe that's fair. But I don't blame him for saying you can't coach this football team if you take this job. Right? Like, and what I mean by that is again, you have to think about also what he went through with this was it was at least maybe the second year in a row, maybe the third year in a row. Cause it was like, well, no, it was like, so he was going to take the Auburn job
Second
before
year in a
Hugh
row.
Freeze, like, and then he had, then it was Florida, and then it was, it was like all this, like it was a couple years in a row where Keith Carter at the end of the year is having to deal with like, okay, is this guy going to like bounce for a school in my conference? Right. Right. And Keith Carter also, and again, I'm not a huge fan of Keith Carter, but Keith Carter had given Lane Kiffin everything he wanted, like giving him more resources and giving him like he couldn't build a bigger stadium. He couldn't build Death Valley. He couldn't, he couldn't gin up a national championship trophy so he could recruit with, or Heisman trophies. Right. But from a resource standpoint, he had given more and more, and all those things. And like at the end of the day, it was just,
it's still
it's
the guy.
I'm giving you everything you want. We're winning. We're making the college football playoff, and you're still telling me you're entertaining leaving. And so like that for me is like I don't blame Keith Carter for being. Again, I'm not a huge fan of Keith Carter, but I don't blame him for getting to a point where he's like, okay, you're either with us or you're not. Like if you're not with us, like get out. Like
I never looked at it that way. You're right.
Because he's just dealt with it. It's like every year it was like, are you staying or are you going? And every year it was like Lane Kiffin would ask for more, like needed more resources. And the guy just went out and just got it all, like raised money, like did everything, at the detriment of other programs at Ole Miss. Like, he just did it. And so I don't blame him for that from an administrative perspective, because at some point you get to a place where it's like, all right, man, this is the third year in a row that we're like, we're debating if you're going to be here or not. So either you're going to be here or not. And that's kind of like with me, it's like people who, so I was a VP for tech companies in my career for a while, and it was those
that explains the house.
Yeah. but you would have somebody coming in, right? And it was like you would have somebody come in and they would, hey, I want more money, or I'm gonna go take this other job. Okay, cool. Let's talk about it. Whatever. You're a good employee. Like, here's what we can give you. Okay, great. We gave you a raise. Like, we agreed to it. It felt really good. Okay, cool. 6 months later, they come in, hey, I've got a job offer. Like, I'm going to go, if you don't give me more money, I'm going to go work for somebody else. Okay, well, let's talk about this, because we just gave you more money, and like, and maybe they are the best employee that you've had, and like, it's really good. Okay. And then you work that out. And then they come back a third time, another 3 months later, and they're like, or 6 months later, or the next year, hey, I've got another job offer. Okay. All right. You know what? Like,
thank you for your time.
Yeah. Thank you for your time. We've appreciated all your contributions. I can't do this every 6 months or every year. You're obviously like looking for something that we're not giving you. If it's more money, if that's all it is, or better opportunity, then like, that's great. Go get it. So that's my perspective from an outside. Now, again, I'm not a fan of Ole Miss, not a fan of LSU. I understand the bad blood, but just objectively, it's like LSU fans, I would just say, like, put yourself in that situation where it's like, you're on the third year in a row of this guy, like, looking at another job. It's like, all right, at some point, that's where you are. Now, that being said, I think Ole Miss fans are absolutely, I think a lot of the conspiracy around it is ridiculous. Like, oh, Lane Kiffin was trying to burn down the program. It's like, no, the dude.
Oh, you mean sweeping for bugs? You mean sweeping for bugs? I gotta say this real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
There's other LSU podcasts out there who don't understand what they don't use bugs. They and I heard that on the way to work this morning. I texted a friend, I want to drive into oncoming traffic right now as I'm listening to this person talk about it. But yeah, like you're saying, putting out a report right when all this is going down saying, oh, yeah, we had the FBI come in and sweep this place for bugs. It's like he doesn't need bugs. He has his whole offensive staff in the building. What are you talking about right now?
Yeah, and also like the people who are saying that, like they sweep him for bugs because they, you don't know Lane Kiffin like I know Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin did nothing but elevate your career, make you more money, like all these things, like right, like so. Come on, man, like you're just at a place where it's that, and so at the end of the day, it is like Lane Kiffin brought a lot to Ole Miss, and I just think it got to a point where Keith Carter was like, "All right, I can't do this every year," and the program that you're going to, and the stuff that you're saying, like I have a clip from Lane Kiffin mid-season last year that I'll post. I'll post it under this video so you'll see it. I'll tag you in it so you can repost or whatever. Mid last year, somebody asked Lane Kiffin when it was all the interest in the Florida job, like Brian Kelly had been fired.
Yeah.
They asked Lane Kiffin, they said, what makes a job a top job? And he was the head coach at Ole Miss at the time. And he talked about national championships, Heisman. Like he described LSU, right? And they still had like 3 games left in their regular season, right? And so the guy was doing this the whole year. And I think Ole Miss fans thought 2 things. I think they thought this is Lane Kiffin just saying stuff to try to get leverage, to get more resources. And then I also thought, I think truly, like bless their hearts. I have some good friends that are Ole Miss fans, but bless their hearts. I think they thought that if Lane Kiffin, if you let him coach the college football playoff game and he wins, and then you let him coach the next one and he wins, and we end up somehow winning a national championship, whatever, he's going to stay. Like he's going to back out of like going to LSU.
Which I think
is what they thought. And so when they were saying we want Lane Kiffin, I think it was let him coach and maybe if he wins, he'll stay. And he was never going to stay because he was describing LSU like the whole mid season. But that's a long way to say, like, I think Lane Kiffin does. I think he gets some undeserved hate. For me, I'll put myself in that category. For me, for like his decisions, right? Stuff he does, like, because I mean, God, he is right. Whoever signed one of these guys through this path from this NFL, the first team to do it was going to be the villain, right? Like he's right. He's right. Like somebody's got to do it. And whoever does it is going to be the villain. The stuff about the bugs, like yes, it's all timing. It's all like there. All of this stuff it's like politics, right? It's like when like a presidential campaign, they call it the October like dump, where they have all this like opposition
October
stuff, and they just wait, and then they just release it at the right time where they feel like it's really going to be impactful and it's really going to hit. So I think there's a lot of that's undeserved. On the flip side,
he's earned it.
Yeah, dude, you took the job at LSU, a top 5 job in the country, and you're doing a full spread 2-day Vanity Fair interview in designer jeans and like what are we doing? You know what I mean? Like it's that kind of stuff that is, and I understand, right? So there's like it's press, it's all these things, but you're at LSU. Like you don't have to go and do a biopic on yourself for Vanity Fair, where there's gonna be like probably some gotcha journalism stuff in there that's gonna, like, because they don't the fluff pieces like don't get clicks. The fluff and that's not what these journalists are really good. So why are you doing that?
No one is going to be a hit piece to a point.
And knowing that, like, what do you have to gain? Like you're the head coach at LSU. Like, what are you going to gain from a Vanity Fair? You know what I mean? So that's the thing for me is like I look at it and I also look at it on the flip side. It's like, okay, people say, well, yeah, Trinidad Chambliss did like Vanity Fair. Yeah, he did. Trinidad Chambliss is a college football quarterback.
Yeah,
right. He's not the head coach. He's not a $13 million a year head coach at the one of the premier programs in the country, who should be the CEO of the organization, who should be like,
don't say that. That gives me chills. Brian
Yeah.
Kelly was a CEO head coach, and I still can't get over it.
Yeah,
I'm joking with you. I know.
But yeah, no, Brian Kelly, yeah. So Brian Kelly, let's be clear, okay? There are Home Depot, the Home Depot corporate office. I'm in Atlanta. I'm like 15 miles from, or 10 miles from the Home Depot headquarters, corporate worldwide headquarters. Home Depot, Bob Nardelli was the CEO of Home Depot in the early 2000s, and he almost killed the company. He just came in, like, did all this stuff, and he never went into the stores. He never connected with store associates. He never did any of these things, right? Like, he was the Brian Kelly, like, CEO. Yeah. Frank Blake, after Bob Nardelli almost killed the company, Frank Blake took over as CEO. When Frank Blake took over, one of the first things he did was he left his 22nd floor penthouse office, went down to the call center in the Home Depot corporate office, went into a cubicle and got on the phone and was taking customer service calls, right? It's like, okay, he was connecting with, like, he was in the stores. There are pictures of him, like, pushing carts, like, at Home Depot stores, right? He was connecting with his team, with his associates, with his customers. Different CEOs, both very talented business minds, but it is the approach. And my thing is just like, I think Lane Kiffin, I just think the guy, it's like, just stop trying to be so damn cool, man. Like, just be a football coach. And you don't have to be
just that cool, though.
Yeah, but he's not.
Because Kirby is that cool, but Kirby's a totally different cool. Like,
yeah, but see, Kirby was also
I can tell you exactly what Kirby has in his closet at home. Yeah, Columbia shirts, Columbia shorts, Georgia gear. That's
the difference between Kirby and Lane Kiffin. Truly. So Kirby was a Georgia high school Hall of Fame
safety
football coach. Yeah, he was a Georgia high school football Hall of Fame coach's son, right? Coach's son, not at the level of Lane Kiffin, but, like, grew up in the kind of that environment, like that, kind of similar thing. And just the difference, like, honestly, the difference is that Kirby Smart, like, Kirby Smart was a first team all SEC safety at Georgia. Maybe 2-time first team all SEC, a 3-4, maybe a 4-year starter in a secondary where you had Champ Bailey, you had Hines Ward on that team. Like, you had some dogs on that team. And Kirby Smart figured out, right, that, like, if you hear him, you should hear Kirby Smart talk about, like, when he went to his NFL combine, like his NFL workout. He was like, I don't even know why they let me, like, work out. Like, he worked out for the Colts, right? And he was like, I don't even know why they let me work out. Like, I was out there getting cooked. I was not going to be an NFL safety. But that's the thing. Like, Kirby Smart just he has the self-awareness where he'll be like self-deprecating, right? Like, he'll talk trash to players and talk about, like, like his, whatever. But, like, at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, what you hear Kirby Smart do that I think he does better than most coaches is he talks so much. When he gets excited in a press conference, like, last year, somebody asked him about, it's a couple years ago, somebody asked him about Jamon Bullard. And he was like, man, he's like, thank you so much for asking about that kid. That kid shows up, he works, he does he takes every opportunity to go deep into recognizing players who their work ethic, their, all those things, because that's what he values. Right.
Yeah.
And I think with Lane Kiffin, like, I think he values being smart. Like, he values, like, I know how to use the communication piece all the way down to the 15-second, all the way down to, and you just don't hear Kirby Smart talking about those things because he values different things. Now, you can win doing both, but I think it's one centers on the head coach and one centers on the players in the team. And I just think Lane Kiffin, I think he's, I hate to say it this way, but I just think he's still learning. He's still learning, like, how to be a player's CEO.
I would say they both should. So Kirby and Lane both show, like, they're definitely branches off of the Nick Saban tree, except Kiffin's side loves getting the sun, and Kirby doesn't need the sun. He'll grow no matter what. I think that's the kind of way I look at it.
Yeah,
because Lane's showing more that Nick Saban side, and I'll, and this isn't just me being an LSU fan because I would love to trash Lane because
Yep.
I did for so many years. But I have seen growth,
Yeah. No, I
which
agree.
is hopefully he hits that, he gets that, that wake up call of, oh, I'm almost 50. This, like you said, this is when Nick and everybody kind of got their stuff together and won. Maybe now I can do this.
Mhm.
I'm at a place where I don't have any excuses. I could say this was Ole Miss or this is Tennessee. Can't say that now.
Yeah. And I think maybe the best way to describe it or to sum it up is the difference between Lane Kiffin and Kirby Smart is if you look at their resumes, okay? Kirby Smart.
Well, yeah, they're gonna be very different.
No, yeah. But if you look, there's a reason they're different though, right? Like Kirby Smart, when he started his career, he worked at for Chris Hancher at he was a Georgia GA, but then he worked for Chris Hancher at Valdosta State, making like nothing. Then he went and was a graduate assistant with Bobby Bowden at Florida State. Then he came to LSU and was on Nick Saban's staff at LSU in 2004. And then Nick Saban left and went to the Dolphins. And so when Nick Saban left and went to the Dolphins, Kirby Smart took a year and came and was the running backs coach at Georgia. So he comes back to a place that's familiar. And then Nick Saban hires him on staff with the Dolphins in 2006. And then he goes with Nick Saban to Alabama. And so if you look, it's really like, it's Nick Saban, it's Bobby Bowden, it's Mark Richt at Georgia, and then it's Chris Hancher at Valdosta State. I mean, it's four guys, right? And what Kirby did was he found a spot with Nick Saban, which I think he probably could have found that if Bobby Bowden hadn't been as old as he was and he was continued coaching, whatever. But he found a spot with Nick Saban where he's like, okay, here's a guy I can learn from, and here's a guy where I can prove myself, and I'm willing to stick it out, and I'm willing to wait until
My time.
the right opportunity, and I feel like I'm ready to take the job, the right job, right? Lane Kiffin was one of the youngest head coaches like in football history, right? Like Lane Kiffin was like, okay, he worked with a great coach, Pete Carroll, learned from great guys, but Lane Kiffin was like real quick to like, I want to be the head coach. I'm going to jump and I'm going to take it. And then it was like, okay. And then now I'm going to go take the head coach at Tennessee. Now I'm going to leave after a year and go take the head coach at USC. Right. And I think that's the difference is that Kirby Smart just had the self-awareness to be like, yeah, the right job will come open for me when I'm ready. Right now I'm learning a lot. I'm having a lot of success. I'm with a great mentor. and great mentors and all these things. And I just, again, I think some of it is, it's personalities, but I think, and some of it is success. Like Lane Kiffin had, a lot of success as an assistant at USC, won a national championship, like was on, probably one of the greatest college football teams of all time. One of those USC teams. And so I think like when you're part of that at that age and your dad was a legendary coach and you've been around and you have this network and you're connected to all these people, you do feel like, okay, I've got to like progress. Like I'm ready, And I just don't think Kirby Smart ever felt that. I think he just had to earn so much of like where he got to. And then he got to a place where with Nick Saban where he's like, all right, well, I'm learning from this guy. So he was with Nick Saban at LSU in 2004. He was Nick Saban with the Dolphins. And he was Nick Saban at Alabama. And people talk about Kirby Smart with Nick Saban at Alabama, but it's like, no, that started at LSU. Like that's when, Nick Saban hired Kirby Smart to be the defensive backs coach at LSU. And then Nick Saban, unfortunately, I think for LSU and for Kirby Smart, maybe to a certain extent too, is they were together for a year and then Nick Saban went to the Dolphins and, whatever, but.
Well, I'll sum it up in a way that probably mostly resembles what you were trying to say. Lane goes after the shiny toy. At one point in his career, he found the shiny toy and he went, I want to get the shiny toy. And that bit him. It bit him really bad. Speaking of shiny toys, this new landscape of college football and everything going on with bringing NFL athletes like you said, college football fans, we can find any way to reason anything. Earlier today, I was like, well, they're not on the roster yet. So they're not technically, no, they were NFL players. And then Greg Sankey, a couple hours ago, comes out and says, we're not allowing anybody who played for the NFL, played for NBA, G League, blah, 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 WNBA, left out baseball, which I think is wrong, actually. I want to get your opinion on that. So the Colorado judge, Lane Kiffin, is getting all this hate, which he's earned. But the Colorado judge couple months ago puts out the injunction allowing 5 for 5. NCAA adopts it. A judge in Baton Rouge says, hey, probably got a call from Jeff Landry, said, hey, you should have extended back to 22 class because y'all kind of screwed them.
Yep.
Which you can't argue for that.
Yeah.
What's your take on this whole situation? Should they be allowed to play coaches or not? Like, I know Kirby Smart came out and said he would not go after those guys. And I believe Kirby when he says that. I don't believe other coaches.
Yeah.
But what is your take on that?
Yeah. Also, like Kirby Smart, just so y'all know I'm not a full-blown homer. Like Kirby Smart also,
I love
he said that, and Kirby Smart also has won back-to-back SEC championships, won an SEC championship last year with 65% underclassmen. So like he's got, he had a team last year that was very young, 65% underclassmen, sophomores and freshmen and sophomores. They're like, hey, I won the SEC with this team last year. I can ride with this team, right? So it's a different situation at Georgia where it is like, okay, yes, I believe Kirby Smart, and I believe it's coming from a place of like he's fighting like crazy. Like Georgia takes the fewest transfers in the SEC almost every year. Like he's fighting to be like, hey, I'm going to be loyal. We're going to recruit you out of high school. We're going to develop you, and I'm going to try to continue to do this way. And I'm not going to bring somebody in over top of you. And it's more of loyalty to the players. It's easy to do that when you also have a team that's won the SEC back to back. And, you got a lot of those guys returning.
Well, also kind of see Kirby possibly looking at that and going, oh, I would have been sad.
Yeah.
And this is how much I'm a Kirby Smart homer. I'm not a Georgia fan. I'm a homer because one of my favorite college football memories connected to my wedding, January 8th, 2022. So I believe it was January 9th, 2022, January 10th. That's championship against Alabama. I'm in Alabama, in Fairhope, Alabama, at the Grand, on my mini honeymoon, my wife called it. And Georgia's playing Bama. So I'm surrounded by Bama fans. And I'm just in awe, so happy that all these Bama fans are crying as Georgia wins the national championship over Bama.
I love it. Yeah, I was in Indianapolis. I was in section 519 watching all that go down with Georgia win that national championship. One of the best nights of my life. But all that being said, so should these guys be allowed to play? Right? Yeah, you've had coaches come out and say we're not going to do it. Like again, love Kirby, and I believe him. It's coming from his heart. I believe he would say it if he didn't have a team that he felt like was a national championship caliber team, but he also has a national championship caliber team. So it's, but I will say, like, I just don't believe personally. I understand all the reasons why these guys should get a chance, all the reasons why these guys, should, whatever. At the end of the day, life is not fair. There are decisions that I made in my life. Plenty of decisions I made in my life where I left a job and I, wish I hadn't left it 6 months later. I, dated a girl and like broke up with her and wish I hadn't broke up with her like 6 months later. It's like there's plenty of decisions.
But you're married now. You're very happy.
I am married.
Make sure you say that.
Yeah, 20 years married. So we're good. We're good, man. Like I made a great decision. But you make decisions in life, and when those decisions are made, yes, there might be context that now all of a sudden you have context or opportunity that you may not have had when you made the decision. But that doesn't mean that you just turn around and like go to court and like go through these hoops and do all these things to try to force an opportunity that was just like, and I understand.
No, you're good.
Class, but it's like this is life. Welcome to life. Are you going to be able to, when, at some point your football playing career is going to be over and you're going to be at some level of the real world. Maybe these guys will end up back in the NFL and they make a ton of money and they're good. Maybe they have to go like, Indeed.com and figure out like what's going to happen. But like at some point your football playing career is going to be over, and you're not going to be able to run to a courthouse and get an injunction or whatever when like the job opportunity isn't going your way. And so I know that's very simplistic because it is like these guys have an opportunity to earn a lot of money. And they left that opportunity thinking that it was over, and now all of a sudden, you know, there's a window open. I just don't think that this is what we need to be doing in college football. And this is not related to LSU. It's not related to any. It is
period.
truly like if Kirby Smart was like, hey, Ja'Cory Thomas is one of them. Ja'Cory Thomas is trying to get an injunction to come back. He was a starting safety for Georgia last year, and he's trying to get an injunction to come back and play college football. If Ja'Cory Thomas, if he was, you know, got a temporary restraining order and like judge said he was eligible, I would be like, that guy should not come back and play college football. Like I like him a lot, and I wish him all the success in the world. But like at some point, it is like, hey, man, okay, I get it, but at some point, it's like, all right, and my issue is not even with these guys. My issue is, and I posted this on X. My issue is who has been working in spring, who showed up to summer workouts, who's been sweating through their freaking socks in Baton Rouge and fall camp, who thought that they had a starting position or thought they had either the number 2, you know, defensive tackle or whatever, getting the reps with the twos. And now they got to look, and now all of a sudden they're, oh, wait a second. Now I'm going to get reps with threes. Yeah, now I'm not going to be able to play at all. And I've been doing all this. Like, that's my issue, is not even about these players in particular. It's more just like the system that we built in the NFL, the USFL, as somebody said in the comments. So there's no problem if they're in the USFL. No, if they're in the USFL, they should not be allowed to come back.
Yeah.
If they went to the CFL, they should not. At some point, you know, you're out of the system, and the system works because you have high school players who play college football, who get recruited, who end up at a school, who end up getting developed. Maybe they transfer, you know, once or twice to a certain extent, but at some point it's like, okay, their time is up, and there are more guys coming that get the opportunity. In the NFL, there's trade deadlines, there's free agency windows, there's no contact, there's times when you can talk to, you know, there's all these set windows. In this case, if it was like a transfer portal window, if we said, okay, you know what, like transfer portal window is coming up in January, these guys have an injunction and they're going to be eligible to go into this window in January, I might be more understanding, because then it's like, okay, well, you're in the pool with everybody, right? Okay, that's fine. 3 weeks before the season starts, all of a sudden you got an NFL guy who just played in a preseason game. It's going to come get snaps from me.
A transfer portal window, actually.
Yeah. It's just like, you just created a window that didn't exist, and you're like, wait a second. So this guy's going to come in, and I've been here all the time. And so for me, it's more that than it is the individual players.
And what drives me the most nuts, even from when I was a child, like when I was younger, because I'm a daily, everybody tell you I'm a baseball guy through and through. I love football. I'm a baseball guy. Watching the Mark McGuire, Rafael Palmeiro, Sammy Sosa days when they're sitting on the hill and they're talking and they're in the Senate hearings talking about steroids in baseball, I said, why is the government involved in this? So seeing judges get involved, write these TROs, make these injunctions drives me nuts. But I have to ask you this now.
Yep.
Because I agree with you wholeheartedly. Like, they should not be here, period. Like, I'm going to ask you your solution here in a minute to it. I'm going to give you mine, but I got to ask you this. In the same breath of telling these guys, okay, you can't do this. We're going to allow, I'll pick on, I think he's out of Georgia school actually now. An LSU guy, Max Johnson, his 7th year of eligibility, and Trinidad Chambliss his 6th year of eligibility. How can we square those together in my mind?
Super easy. Max Johnson and Trinidad Chambliss should not be playing college football.
I agree.
Period.
I agree, because
so how do you square it? For me, I think the one difference is
if you say he had strep throat, I'm going to be so mad.
No, the one difference is they didn't remove themselves from the system, right? So that changes it for me. When I say that, they didn't.
They didn't.
They didn't go. They didn't leave like a universe like Max Johnson. I guess technically did because he went from North Carolina to
Was it Georgia Southern?
Yeah, to Georgia Southern. But they didn't leave like the college system where they said, okay, we're removing ourselves from here and going into a pro system. You know, because some of these guys who like if a guy he thought his eligibility was up, he didn't get drafted. You know, he never like ended up at a mini camp. Like, I mean, that's fine. I'm honestly fine with that. Let that guy come back. Like he never put himself. What I mean by that is he never put himself in a different system. And when you put yourself in a different system where it is like, okay, I could be playing college football. Now I have an opportunity to play pro football, and I have put myself on a pro football field in some form or fashion with a mini camp or with a preseason or with a, fighting for a roster spot or undrafted free agent. Like you officially like removed yourself out. Now, I would also go back and say, if the guy put himself in the draft and he ended up getting drafted, like if he put himself in the draft, he probably moved himself out of the system as well. But I just think like you got to keep it in the system. Just my personal opinion. It's like, that's the simplest way for me. If you want to fight to stay in the system, right?
That's one thing.
Trinidad Chambliss is like, okay, I vehemently disagree with it. But the guy, like, he did it. He did it at the end of the season. He did it. He was like, okay, I am going, before I go and put myself in another system, I'm going to fight to stay in this one. And these other guys are guys who were like, no, I'm going to go put myself in this other system, and I'm going to fight to be in that system.
My only pushback on that, though, is they didn't make this ruling until after they had to make that decision.
Yeah, agree.
That's the only leeway those guys can get, in my opinion, is that, oh, you made a decision. Now it doesn't include me, even though I'm in that class. Okay, something's wrong. That's only.
And that's fair. And that's fair. And I understand that. But I also would say, like, that's kind of where I go to. Okay, if you weren't drafted and you didn't end up in a mini camp and you didn't end up on a preseason team and all these things, that's where I have more leeway. But it's like, no, if you
got 2 sacks in a preseason game,
yeah. If you were an undrafted free agent and you put on an NFL uniform in an NFL locker room and played in an NFL stadium in a preseason game, you have fought to be in the other system. Okay, so you have removed yourself and you are fighting to be there. And maybe you didn't know that you had an opportunity to be in this one, but it's pretty clear that like you had an opportunity to be in that one and you just couldn't make it. So it's kind of, again, it's like if I go out and wanted to go for a job and I went and went through all this process, interviewed for this job, and told my boss, like, hey, I'm going to interview for this other job. And my boss is like, all right, well, we're going to hire your replacement and, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I'm still going to go interview. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, I interview for this job and I go through the whole process and then I don't get offered the job. Then I go back and my boss is like, yeah, well, we made a change. So now we're going to let people who decide to interview for another job, we're not going to replace them until we figure out like if they're going to make get the other job. But my boss says, but we made this after you left and you're not part of it. Right. It's like, okay, well, yeah, I could go to court and fight my boss. I could also just be like, yeah, I made a decision to like try, and the context has changed. So it's at the end of the day, I don't blame any of these players for like trying to find an opportunity.
No. And that's what you're 100% right. And I was bringing it up earlier. I was having a phone call with somebody today. They brought it up and I said, look, they're just now entering the workforce, really. I said, you're going to realize this one day, either one section or one team's going to get some or didn't get something. And the only talk around the office is going to be, well, how come they got this? Or how come we didn't get this?
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be the way it is for the rest of your life. And that's exactly what's going on with these kids. It's like, well, what about us? It's
brother, we have all been in a situation, and we will all be in situations where, you're in a work environment, and somebody gets promoted, and you're like, why did they get promoted? I didn't get promoted. Like I'm better at my job than I'm better. Like everybody's been there, and that's life, and sometimes it's not fair. But at the end of the day, if somebody said in the chat, money talks, BS walks, and that's true. That's true. At the end of the day, if you're in a situation where it's like, all right, I don't blame anybody for like trying to make more money. There's my guy, Coach Hayes, in the chat. I don't blame, welcome in, buddy. I don't blame anybody for trying to find an opportunity. At the end of the day, my biggest issue is there are other guys who have not removed themselves from the college football system, who've been fighting for a spot for 9 months, sometimes some of them, a year, some of them 2 years, some of them going back, they finally reach a place. And you now all of a sudden you're like, okay, wait a second, you're gonna allow them to come back now, when I've been fighting for this thing, when they've, because they couldn't cut it in the other system. Like, and I understand, like, maybe they wouldn't have left if they had an opportunity, but it's like,
but at the same time, it makes Kirby look better, in my opinion, because when you go to a house and you, like, people say, oh, this wouldn't happen again after this year. Okay, give them an opportunity. It'll happen again.
Yeah.
But Kirby could walk into a living room and say, your kid's going to have the chance I had. Like, it's that simple.
Yeah. And that's what Kirby Smart is betting on. Kirby Smart is betting on, I'm
not turning into a Georgia fan. I'm not turning into
but Kirby Smart, it's just different bets, right? Lane Kiffin is betting on, I need to build the best roster that I can because I need to win now. And then I can figure it out. Like, if I win, then that's my path to like continuing to build elite rosters, as I've proven I can win, and you're going to come play for a winner. Kirby Smart is saying, hey, I'm going to start with loyalty first. I'm going to recruit you out of high school. We're going to develop you. We're not going to transfer guys in over you. We're not going to, bring in guys from the NFL over you. And also, hopefully, like, we're going to win. And if he can do that, if he can win that way, it's like, it's pretty compelling. Both are winning, but it's pretty compelling the loyalty plus the winning is pretty compelling over this guy's a winner, but you don't know if somebody's gonna come in on you. Somebody in the chat said,
up right here.
Yeah, you do know this involves over 100 athletes in different sports.
One of my favorite athletes, Stephen Modlin.
Yeah.
But the baseballs was separated from that, which I will say I don't agree with.
I don't agree with it, but I understand why. Baseball was separate because the MLB, like, there's so much up in the air with the MLB. They're about to make all these drastic changes to the minor leagues, of the number of players in the minor leagues, there's going to be a lockout next year probably. Like, I think it was there's a lot of uncertainty with that. Yeah. Major
League Baseball has been the only professional athletics organization that you could enter the draft and not lose out on going back to college. Like, you could have guys go to the draft every year. Yeah. And I think you would agree with me on my solution to this whole thing. If you enter your name into a professional league draft, you forfeit your collegiate athletic career. You forfeit.
It's easy.
Whatever sport it is. Whether you come out of high school, whether you come out of college, no matter what.
Yep.
I think that fixes it all, because now you have to have, and it's going to hurt, like LSU baseball. It would hurt us. Look at our roster. We have a roster this year that's made up of guys who should be in minor league baseball. They didn't get the money they wanted.
Yep.
So they're here.
Yep.
But now you got to tell kids, make a decision, because you can either go ride a bus, or you can fly in a private jet, not a Baton Rouge.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. It's and I think you hit the nail on the head. If you enter your name in a professional draft, like you have, and again, that's where it goes back to me. It's like, you have decided that you're going to be you want to be part of that system, and you don't want to be part of this system any longer. And therefore, we are going to make room for somebody who wants to be part of this system, right? A high school kid, a transfer, like whatever it is. And I think that's the only way that you really fix it. Because if you can, nothing will kill college sports faster. And I will die on this hill. Rev share, NIL, all of those things, players getting paid, corporate patches on the jersey and on the field, all that stuff. Nothing will kill college sports faster than allowing guys who go pro to come back and play college. Because what's going to happen when that happens is you have you're messing up your high school recruiting pipeline. You're messing up your transfer portal pipeline. You are killing.
You're messing up the NFL free agent pipeline.
All of that. You're killing all that. NFL practice squads that those guys like that league depends a lot on that for pipeline that a lot of people don't talk about. And those guys make really good money, to be on practice squads. Like there's so much of that system that's built. And so if you allow those guys to come back, then you're killing that whole system of progression, which is how it should work. And I think to Coach Hayes' point, my guy in the chat, my buddy, roster management becomes a nightmare, and it becomes a nightmare because like Kirby Smart has said this over and over and over. And I think this is probably why Kirby Smart had the comment that he had today. He said it over and over. He's like, I just want to know who's going to be on my team for this season in January. He's like, I just need to know who's going to be on my team. Like, that's what I need. Like, I need to be able to say, hey, at the end of January, I need to be able to say,
what's my
this
roster?
is the 105 that I'm riding with through until next January, right? And I think like that is the only thing that will keep this thing cohesive is if you have coaches and staffs who can depend on that. You make your bet in high school recruiting, you make your bet in transfer portal in January, and then that's the team you're riding with. Just think of like the NFL, right? It is like, I know Lane Kiffin that was probably one that said this, and I think he's right. He's like, imagine if like free agency happened in the middle of the NFL playoffs. It's like, okay, all of a sudden you could like, you had to like figure out, are you going to have these guys on the roster? Like, it's like, and so, man, it's just a nightmare. Like, it's just a nightmare. So, but again, let's go back to your original question with all of this. I don't blame Lane Kiffin. I don't blame these players. I think Lane Kiffin is all about Lane Kiffin, and I think he's always going to be about Lane Kiffin. And I think as long as he wins, LSU fans will be totally fine with that. They'll be totally fine with Vanity Fair magazine and all that stuff as long as he wins. If he doesn't win, then you're gonna get real tired of Lane Kiffin like real quick, because he's not the kind of guy. He's not a who's a good example is like freaking. I mean, I think he's corny.
Les Miles.
Yeah, well, Les Miles is a good example. Yeah, I think I was going to talk about current coaches, but I think he's corny as all get out. But
like a Shane Beamer.
Yeah, Shane Beamer. That's what I was going to say. I think he's corny as all get out, but like you'll give that guy, South Carolina will give that guy a decently long leash because he's a good representative of the university. He he talks a lot about his care for the players and like it feels like a family guy, like a football coach's like coach, like just that kind of demeanor. And so they'll give him a long leash. You won't give a guy like Lane Kiffin a long leash if the guy's not winning. But that being said, my issue with all this, I don't like Lane Kiffin because he's all about Lane Kiffin. But at the end of the day, like what drives me bananas about this situation, and we can wrap it up here.
Yeah.
He doesn't need this. LSU has a good roster. Why do you need he doesn't? I get that every key player, and I get that defensive tackle, and I get all this stuff. He's got a good enough roster for a year one team at LSU to go out and win a lot of games and potentially make the college football playoff. So why are you stirring all of this up for 4 or 5 guys
I disagree. I can't say I disagree. I agree with his sentiment he had today where he said, it's my job to put the best roster on the field. If this is my best roster, it's my best roster. I agree with you wholeheartedly. He doesn't need it. But did he need, $13 million? Like my favorite Lane Kiffin line ever. And I'll die on this hill saying he was lying. I don't know what my contract is. I don't know how much money I'm making.
Please.
Shut up.
Shut up. Yeah. He knows.
So, yeah.
Exactly.
But LSU fans gobbled it up like Thanksgiving dinner. Oh, he doesn't care about the money. Then why is he the highest paid coach in the country?
I love it. And I love that too. Like Georgia fans, like we'll Georgia fans have a little bit about that with Kirby Smart too, right? Like where they'll have a little bit of like Kirby Smart. I believe Kirby Smart. I believe him wholeheartedly when he says that I want to keep the SEC championship game. When I was coming up, the SEC championship game was bigger than the national championship to me. Like it was like, that big of a game. And like this, like I cut my teeth on this and whatever. He also gets like a 250,000 something for winning that SEC championship. Like, yeah, he gets like $100,000 for making the SEC championship, whatever. It's like, okay, yeah. I get that, like you care about the game, but you
also want the payday.
But also, yes, that is in your contract. There's a pretty good like bump right there for like making that game or winning that game.
I would put Kirby closer to like Jay Johnson as far as how he looks at things.
Yeah, for sure.
Instead of like Lane Kiffin, like, and I this all season's been crazy. We go from, everything with the move to Jaden Daniels to this. Like I've lost track of so many different scandals around LSU that like Dan Exano come out saying he used the private jet. We said, who cares?
Yeah. I'll tell you this. Lane Kiffin, like, I think 2 comments in the chat. One about the NCAA being shady, or NCAA sabotaging. This NCAA.
I've heard that argument.
Yeah, knowing this. And then, but Coach A saying, Lane Kiffin is a shady car salesman, which I kind of agree with to a certain extent. The sentiment for kind of for me, like the private jet, I don't care. Like coaches, big time football coaches who make tens of millions of dollars a year fly on private jets, and that I don't care. Like I don't care. Kirby Smart.
It was the LSU's private jet. That's the problem. But it's in his contract.
Yeah, dude, look at people who want to complain about the amount of money that a coach is flying on a university's private jet. So Kirby Smart flies Georgia's private jet. It's in his contract. He takes his family to Mexico on the university like private jet, and like all the time. People who want to complain about that, it's like, dude, read a college football head coach's contract. There's stuff in there that you're like, what? Like it's like car, it's like house stipend. It's like, not only are they making, $13 million a year, but like
the university is like paying for.
Yeah. There's even stuff like there's stipulations, legitimate stipulations in a college football coach's contract that says if they get fired or leave and they can't sell their house, that for the amount of money that they bought it, that the university has to pay the difference. So they can go buy a $2 million house. The house can like decrease in value, and then the university is on the hook for covering the difference if they sell their house. Like that, there's all kinds of crazy stuff.
I think LSU had to buy Lane's house.
Yeah, all kinds of crazy stuff in there. So but none of that. It's like, okay, that's big time college football. That's also like what Kirby Smart, who the highest paid coach in college football, what he's brought to the Athens area economy is like, dude, like he's more than worth all of that stuff, right? But these guys who tell you like Kiffin, I don't know how much I made, or people who say like, well, yeah, Kirby's not in it for the money, like he's a dude. Yeah. Okay, if Kirby's not in it for the money, why does he have the contract that Nick Saban had, where he has to be every time a coach gets becomes like higher paid than him, he gets a raise? Like it's like, yeah, they care about the money for sure.
This is no truer words have ever been uttered. Spot the ball. Like we need football back so bad.
Yes, sir.
Like look at like Kirby with the economic impact he's had on Athens. We had a celebration today for Skip Burtman this evening, remembering him, the economic impact that man had. We should be paying his family a salary for the rest of their lives. But before I let you go, I have to ask you this.
Yeah.
What's LSU's record this year?
I think LSU is going to go 9-3, make the college football playoff. I think it'll be, I think they'll probably come in the college football playoff around like maybe 10th.
10.
Yeah, somewhere in there. Yeah. And then
Georgia 10-2.
Yeah. I think LSU will be 9-3. I could see 8-4 depending on the quarterback situation. I like Sam Levitt a lot. I'm not a
Hater. Or you're not a believer in him.
no, I'm just not a
I'm saying you're not a hater, but you're saying you're
I'm
not
not
a
a hater.
believer.
No, I'm not a hater, but I don't think Sam Levitt has. I don't think it's a Fernando Mendoza situation. Like I don't think like I just don't
Yeah.
think. I think he's good, but I don't think he's a gamer necessarily. And I think you get in some of these SEC environments, it's going to depend on how that guy goes. A little bit. Not saying he's going to be as play like this guy, but it's a little bit of John Mateer-ish kind of where it's like you're coming from. You had a lot of chutzpah coming into the situation, and then you get in there and you get that pressure cooker, and it's like, dude, that offensive line better be good, that run game better be good, because you put it on that guy's back, it's gonna be real tough.
I'll say this from people I've talked to who've been out there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I always take what they say I take about 20% away.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna surprise some people.
Oh yeah. No, I know he's gonna be good.
Well, I mean, like a step above good. Like,
okay.
I've heard people make references to a number 9. No.
Okay.
I'm not saying that, but
yeah,
step above good.
All right,
John, I appreciate you coming on, man. I want to let you know if you want to do the social club in Baton Rouge, anything I can do to help, let me know.
Let's do it.
And make sure y'all go follow him. Great intellectual conversation. I can't thank you enough for that, man. I hope you have a good night. And can't wait to talk to you again.
Thank y'all, man. Had a great time. Thanks for hanging in there with us. It was a really good chat. We'll do it again.
Sounds good, man. God bless.
See you, brother. Bye.
That was our buddy John from the Bulldog Bourbon Social Club. I want to thank him for coming and spend time with me at night. It was a great time, great intellectual conversation. Opened my eyes to some things, oddly enough, that I did not expect to hear whenever we had the conversation. But again, as all conversations should, you should have conversations with people that can kind of test your opinions on things. And I wanted that outside perception because we get so much into these echo chambers of our fandoms. So I'm really, really glad that I had the opportunity to speak with him. Such a nice guy. Such a nice guy. Before we let you go, like I always do, guys, we're going to go over a Bible verse. But remember, do me a favor. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button. If you can do me that favor, it does a great help to the channel, helps me out a ton. Hit the like button if you can. If you're following on X, please do so. We do a giveaway every week during football season and every baseball game. It's LSU merchandise, but some of it's actually worth a good bit of money. It's called Pick to Click. If you're following the X page at Walk It Off Talk, it'll be posted on Wednesdays. You'll be able to enter for the giveaway. I do ship anywhere in the CONUS, United States. So if you can, please do me that favor. Hit the follow button. Hit the subscribe button. Yeah, truly, truly, truly appreciate it. So tonight we're going to go over this verse from Romans chapter 5, verses 3-4. Not only this, but we also rejoice in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces perseverance, and perseverance proving character, and proving character, hope. I think this fits really, really. It's odd. Every time I just do this from my phone, a little app on my home screen, it always finds a way to weave itself into the conversation we have tonight. Not only this, but we also rejoice in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces perseverance, and perseverance proving character. We can say that about these guys in the NFL or guys on depth charts not getting the chances they need and having to really work to get to the next level or get to the level they want to be at. It's going to take perseverance and suffering. It's going to take learning to really I always called it embracing the suck. Spent 6 years in the Army, and we loved embracing the suck. Embracing the suck meant the bad times won't last forever. There's an end point to any types of suffering, and you usually come out better for it on the other end. One thing I always tell people is that my best memories, my most like cherished memories, never involve air conditioning. They never involve creature comforts. Usually there's a tiny bit of suffering to it. Usually the best times of life come through a time of suffering. So what I would tell these young men and women who were losing opportunities possibly to make more money in college or not getting picked up on professional rosters, that suffering or that idea of suffering is happening for a reason. Not everybody's meant to be 1% of the 1%. When you get to a LSU or a Georgia, you are 1% of football players in this country who get to that opportunity. Especially if you start and play and become a good enough player to possibly be drafted, you're a 1%er. When you get to the NFL, if you want to be a starter, you got to be 1% of the 1%. Not everybody's meant to do that. And I hate that it happened to you. But learning from this suffering, learning from this failure or lack of opportunity will give you strength you will use for the rest of your life. Speaking of Skip Burtman and the celebration of him tonight, you heard a lot of players come up and talk about how good of a man he was, how loving he was to his guys before, during, and after their playing career at LSU for Skip Burtman playing baseball. He preached to learning through the bad times and working through the hard times makes them a better person in every avenue they go through in life, everything they do in life. That's one lesson I hope these young men and women get through this. If you can't play professional sports, it's okay. I wish somebody would have told me something like that back when I played baseball. I would have possibly, put more work towards becoming a coach because I know it's something I would love to do today. But I didn't do that. Now I'm too old to go make that change. But let this perseverance not just be a troubled time of your life, but a lesson learned. Let it make you a better individual on the end. Again, do me a favor. If you haven't, hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button at Walk It Off Talk. We have an Instagram page. We have a TikTok page. Please follow them all, and I truly, truly appreciate it. I'll never ask for your money. We didn't get to run the ads tonight, but if you would like to, you see the gear I'm wearing, Jesus One Apparel right here. It's at JesusOneApparel.com. Code Walk It Off Talk gets you 20% off. And 15% of your order after the 20% off goes to a local charity. Right now, I have to figure out what my next missionary or my next ministry is going to be, but I'm waiting for a check to come in to bring it to the LSU FCA, FCA being the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. We're going to donate a little over $200 to $300 to the LSU FCA. And I can't wait to go present that check to them, all because people went and bought the merch and used code Walk It Off Talk. It's great merch. It's not expensive. They have it for every team. They have it for Georgia. They have it for LSU. They have it for your Major League Baseball teams. I think they're going to start working on NFL teams. It's great. It's not expensive merch. It's really, really good. It's comfy. So if you want to express your faith and by wearing it on your body, go ahead and go check out Jesus One Apparel and use code Walk It Off Talk for 20% off. Remember, God loves you. All he wants you to do is love him back. I hope you'll have a great evening. I'll see y'all Thursday when we talk a little bit more about the upcoming LSU football season. Hopefully the drama's died down. Hope y'all have a great night. Remember, Christ is King. God bless you.